truth will set you free. The truth will set you free.
Hey guys, Peter Franson here from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. I'm going to do something a little bit different from our normal In Search of Truth Bible study content this time around. As I like to do sometimes during the Christmas season, I shift away briefly from our Bible study, which we've been going through Philippians. I do plan to return to that, but this week and next, I want to go in a more topical direction, but still really pull from Scripture when appropriate to kind of inform my thinking and help me articulate some thoughts. Anyway, I want to, don't turn me off, but if you hate this song, but I want to talk about the lyrics to The Little Drummer Boy and why specifically they, I think, might have some significant value for us as Christian geeks. I used to hate this song, like when I was a teenager and like a 20-something, I especially in my early 20s, I just hated this song. It struck me as being one more kind of substanceless Christmas song. Yeah, it had some token references to Jesus and stuff like that, but, you know, a song about cute little children, cute little boy and his cute little drum, you know. I never paid much attention to the lyrics until my mid-20s and 30s, when I started to pay attention to it. And especially sometime in my 30s is when it really started to strike me in a different way and become actually one of the most moving songs for me during the Christmas season now each year. So I want to walk you through the lyrics of this song along with just a little bit of relevant scripture with the intent of sharing what it's come to mean to me, and hopefully along the way you'll find some things of value to you as well. Now, first off, I'm not presenting the author's intent for this song. I don't know what that is. I couldn't find any information about that. I also don't think it's very relevant. God can use all kinds of people to communicate truths that they themselves may have not intended to communicate. So what I'm sharing is the application I think this song can have for me and many geeks, regardless of the creator intent. For the sake of eliminating distracting repetition, I'm not going to read every instance of pa-rum-pa-pum-pum as I go through the lyrics, but that's not because that little bit of onomatopoeia is unimportant. It's actually, I think, very important. It's the somewhat, I think, silly representation of the sound made by the little boy's drum as he plays it, or maybe it's supposed to be the sound he makes as he retells this story and what happened. It's peppered throughout the song, and it's this constant reminder of the childlike nature of the storyteller. And so I do think the pa-rum-pa-pum-pum is important. I'm just not going to be repeating it over and over again as I go through the lyrics here. So first I'll run through the lyrics with the thoughts that I used to have about it as a teenager and as a young 20-something. Verse 1, "Come, they told me, a newborn king to see. Our finest gifts we bring to lay before the king, so to honor him when we come." And I would just think, oh, whatever, okay, that's just a standard retelling of somewhat classic elements of the nativity story, maybe in reference to the wise men. I suppose this could be shepherds. But in any case, you know, they're going to see this king. Nothing in that verse that keeps it from going one ear and out the other to teenager 20-something me. Verse 2, "Baby Jesus," now the boy is talking to baby Jesus. "Baby Jesus, I am a poor boy too. I have no gift to bring that's fit to give a king. Shall I play for you on my drum?" Like, whatever, okay. So now it's a song about this cute little kid, that cute kids sing at Christmas time. Isn't that cute? Of course you have no gift that's fit to bring a king. You're just a cute little kid. Oh, cute. He wants to play his drum as a gift. Oh, great. That's going to sound terrible, and we all have to pretend it's cute. I've never been a big fan of small children, by the way, if you couldn't pick up on that. Verse 3, "Mary nodded, the ox and lamb kept time." No, they didn't. They did not keep time. You're living in a fantasy world, kid. That or the author has now entered into nursery rhyme mode. They're not interested in history. They're just Disneyfying the story of Christ's birth by adding dancing and talking animals. I don't care. I am totally checked out of this song at this point. The lyrics go on. "I played my drum for him. I played my best for him." I'm sure you did, kid. Great. Very cute. Then he smiled at me and my drum. Okay, he's a baby. He didn't smile at you. He had gas. His eyes are still adjusting to the light. He probably couldn't even see you, unless, again, this is the Disney fantasy version of the nativity story. Now, in terms of author's intent, maybe that's as deep as they were thinking. They were just creating, a fun song for children at Christmas time. I don't know. But as I looked at these words again, years later, and tried as a performer, because I was leading at the time that I first re-examined these words. I was leading a part of the music ministry. I wasn't a worship pastor yet. I was working under the worship pastor before me, and I was in charge, in part, to lead and rehearse the various ensembles that would sing songs, special music on Sunday mornings. And so I was helping this women's group to rehearse this song. And part of my training as a performer in college was to, no matter what song you're singing, really truly invest in it. Find those points of investment and relatability, and figure out what they are and how you can relate to what's being said in the song, so that you can authentically communicate, authentically engage in the emotion of the song. And so I was bringing that process to this rehearsing this group of women, trying to relate to the character in the song. And as I did that, the parallels not only surprised me, but they actually brought tears to my eyes as I thought more about them, and the more I thought about them. What prevented me from connecting with the song was my own arrogance. I thought of myself as a young and promising performer that hoped to do big and significant things in God's kingdom. Now, I never would have said that or even admitted it to myself, but that's where I was in retrospect. And in the years since, I've just seen more and more what small role I have to play in God's kingdom plans. I've realized that I will probably never have the impact that I hoped I would. And as I've grown to increasingly respect other kinds of ministry, I've more properly, I think, placed my own ministry lower in significance by comparison. Maybe too low at times, although I think I get myself into trouble either way. When I am trying to evaluate the significance of my ministry, that's something for God to do alone. So me getting caught up in those thoughts is not helpful anyway. But it was wrestling with those thoughts that has helped me see this song from a different angle. So let's look at it again with just kind of some of my more recent observations. Come, they told me, a newborn king to see. Our finest gifts we bring to lay before the king, so to honor him when we come. So I think it's important to recognize the nature of Christ in this as this king, as the ruler of the world, who lowered himself to be among us, but was nevertheless a king of the world. Psalm 16:2 says, I say to Yahweh, you are my Lord, I have no good apart from you. I'll get to why I'm bringing this up in a second here. Psalm 89:11, the heavens are yours, the earth also is yours, the world and all that's in it. You have founded them. And then Psalm 50:12, God says, if I were hungry, I would not tell you, for the world and its fullness are mine. So here we've got the situation where these people are trying to bring their finest gifts to lay before the king, to honor him. But the reality of the situation, as I think about it, is that there's nothing that they can give to him that's not already his. They're the best things that they have, the finest gifts they have to bring, are nothing to what this king already owns. Verse 2, baby Jesus, I am a poor boy too. I am really struck by how humbly Jesus lowered himself in taking on humanity to himself. That some little boy could rightly say of Jesus as they were growing up, I'm a poor boy too. He was just a poor boy, and that there could be that degree of commonality, like, oh yeah, we have this in common. We're both just poor kids, and just the degree to which Jesus willingly experienced all of the full human experience, apart from giving in to sin. Luke 2:52 says, and Jesus increased in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and man. He actually learned. He actually learned that in some way he compartmentalized the all-knowing nature of his deity, so that he was in a position to actually have to learn. Hebrews 5:8. Although he was a son, he learned obedience through what he suffered. So he even learned, he was growing in sanctification, learning obedience through his suffering. Philippians 2:6-8, which we'll get to this in a little bit in our study of Philippians when we get back to it. It says, although he was, this is all the ESV translation, by the way, though he was in the form of God, did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, in other words, a thing to be clung to, held on to, but emptied himself by taking the form of a servant, being born in the likeness of men, and being found in human form, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. So the lyrics go on. I have no gift to bring that's fit to give a king. Shall I play for you on my drum? I mean, this boy, even though, the others, I already said, the best they have is not enough. It's nothing new to this king. This boy couldn't give even like those others could give. All he had was his dumb little drum and probably a very basic ability with rhythm. And, I used to just scoff at the thought of this boy. And then at some point I realized, oh my gosh, I am the drummer boy. I'm the stinking drummer boy. I'm never going to be this rock star evangelist or a great theologian or a celebrated artist or public speaker and influencer that everyone knows. By comparison to those giants that are having incredible influence in the world for Christ, I'm just this little kid telling my dumb laser gun stories that almost nobody cares about, Now, as an aside, if you like my audio dramas, I'm not having a pity party, I'm not looking for your encouragement, thank you, I'm fine, that's not the point. The point is, on my down days, when I see my work falling short of the vision that I would have for it, I remember that I'm the drummer boy. Or for a more biblical example, I'm the kid with the loaves and fishes that Jesus was able to multiply. Or I'm the widow who barely had any money, but gave it all for God's purposes, and that still honored God, and God used that. Even though functionally you look at that and you say, what in the world does that do? What in the world does that contribute? God doesn't need me to be a significant big deal. He just wants me to give what he's given me. And I think that's where this, I see relevance to Geeks. We very often may feel like we don't fit in well enough to offer anything of value in God's kingdom. We're just not gifted and wired the way that other people are, and the way that other people are more conventionally used in ministry. We might not be equipped well enough to serve in some ways in our churches, or in other roles or places in life, at work, or in social circles. We have these big imaginations. We can have these big dreams, which I think in part are fed and encouraged by the entertainment we take in, that it is about these grand accomplishments that various characters achieve, And so we can have these big dreams for our lives, and then we have to watch those dreams be unfulfilled when people don't react to our ideas or to what we create like we thought that they would react. But God doesn't need us to achieve our dreams. He just wants us to give what he's given us. However big or small or weird or dumb looking that thing is, he just wants us to give that. He might multiply it for the world to see, or our gift might be lost in obscurity as far as others are concerned. Either way, he just wants us to give what we have, whatever that looks like. Verse 3, Mary nodded, the ox and lamb kept time. I played my drum for him, I played my best for him. This is the kid living in his fantasy. He is in a bit of a fantasy world here. To him, playing his drum is a big deal. It's not going to be a big deal to other jaded people like me, but to him, it's the biggest thing going on in his life. This drum that he's got, he's so proud of it. He's invested so much time in it. In many of the depictions of this story, he's just wearing it all the time. He's got this little drum attached to him. That's like his thing that he's super duper into. It's a big deal for him. And so to have an audience, and he's going to play this drum and give his best, in his mind, the animals are loving it. He's given the performance of a lifetime, but he's still just a kid banging on a drum. He's still just a kid banging on a drum. My gosh. So many times I have thought that something I'm creating is awesome. That if everyone could just see it, it would just take the world by storm. But to a lot of people, and certainly to God, my creative work is not impressive. God created creativity. So I'm not going to make him ooh and ah and be really impressed with what I accomplish in my creative endeavors. But what might I do? And the lyrics say, then he smiled at me and my drum. I'll tell you what, if I were to die in obscurity and no one remembered me, but I see Jesus and he says, you know, I really smiled when you made that laser gun story that you made. That would really be something for me. If my role is to just sort of be the court jester for my king, just doing these silly things that people think are silly or weird or dumb or useless, but they make him smile, even as I look like a fool to everyone else, I'll take it. I'll take that life. Now, it means that I have to die more and more to my idea of what's a big deal and what's not in this life. And that hurts, that process. That's even why it brings tears to my eyes now as I talk about it. There's a sadness to mourning that and realizing, oh, I'm never going to be this vision that I had for myself. And I have to be okay with that. I have to actually let go and have the right perspective about that and see that really that vision is not the big thing that I thought it was. But the letting go process, which I have to do repeatedly, there is pain, there is mourning as I die to that dream and put it in its proper place. And then at the same time, there's also real freedom and fulfillment as I let go of that too, and just embrace being the stupid little drummer boy that in his good moments can bring a smile to the king. Being the drummer boy is that's a good life. If you'd like some help finding a good church in your area, I would love to help you do that if I can. Online resources and communities are good supplements, but by nature they just can't speak to your particular situation like relationships in a local church can. The context for almost everything in the New Testament assumes that we're serving and building purposeful relationships in a local church. So whether you're in a church that just kind of lacks Bible-based intentionality or maybe not attending any church at all, if I can help you get connected to an authentic, compassionate, Bible-oriented church, I want to do that. You can email me at paeter@spiritblade.com, and we can look at some websites of churches in your area together.